You probably think of yourself as someone who's hard to fool, and you're probably right about most things. But here's what the research actually shows. The smarter you are, the more elaborate the blind spots. The more capable your brain is of building arguments, the better it becomes at building arguments for things that aren't true. The more confident you are in your ability to read a situation, the less likely you are to admit when you've misread it completely. Intelligent people are not harder to manipulate. In specific, predictable ways, they are significantly easier. And the manipulators who know this, they seek you out on purpose. Intelligence is typically thought of as a defense. Smart people see through things. They ask better questions. They notice inconsistencies. They don't fall for things that less careful thinkers would. And in many situations, that's true. But intelligence has a shadow side that almost nobody talks about. And that shadow is what makes certain highly capable people devastatingly vulnerable to a specific kind of manipulation. Psychologists call it the intelligence trap. The more sophisticated your thinking, the more sophisticated your rationalization. The better you are at building logical arguments, the better you become at constructing logical-sounding reasons for things that aren't actually logical at all. Here's the simplest version. A less intelligent person, when they feel something is wrong, tends to trust that feeling and act on it. An intelligent person, when they feel something is wrong, is more likely to construct a rational argument for why the feeling is probably incorrect. They explain it away. They build a case against their own instincts, and they do it brilliantly. Manipulators have known this for centuries, even without the psychology research to name it. They don't approach intelligent targets with simple lies. They approach them with complex, internally consistent narratives, systems of logic that feel intellectually satisfying to engage with, arguments that are almost right, but not quite. And the intelligent person, rather than walking away, leans in because they love a puzzle. They love figuring things out. They love being the one who understands something others don't. That love is the door. Reason 1, they overthink, and overthinkers can be led. The more angles you analyze, the more angles a manipulator can use. Intelligent people process more. They consider more angles, more possibilities, more interpretations. In most situations, this is an asset. In a manipulation scenario, it's a vulnerability, because a skilled manipulator doesn't give you one thing to think about. They give you 12. They layer complexity onto complexity. They introduce doubt here, plausible deniability there, a compelling alternative explanation over here. And the intelligent person, who naturally wants to consider all possibilities fairly, gets lost in the analysis. While they're thinking, the manipulator is moving. Analysis paralysis is real, and the people most susceptible to it are the ones with the most to analyze. Reason 2, they trust their own judgment, even when it's been compromised. Confidence in your reasoning is exactly what makes your reasoning hijackable. Most intelligent people have been right enough times that they trust their own assessment of situations. That confidence is usually earned, and it is exactly what a manipulator targets. Because if you can get an intelligent person to reach a conclusion themselves, to feel like they figured something out, that conclusion is far more durable than one you handed them. They own it. They defend it. They build on it. This is called the Socratic method of manipulation, leading someone through questions and observations until they arrive at the conclusion you wanted, believing entirely that it was their own idea. The more you trust your own reasoning, the more effective this technique is against you, because you never question the conclusion you reached it yourself. Reason 3, they value complexity, and complexity can be manufactured. Simple manipulation doesn't work on smart people, so they get the complicated kind. Simple scams don't fool intelligent people. The Nigerian prince email doesn't work on someone with a PhD, but that's not what they're given. Intelligent targets get sophisticated manipulation, elaborate narratives with internal consistency, philosophical frameworks that sound profound, ideological systems that feel intellectually rigorous, relationships that are layered and complex and require constant interpretation. The intelligent person mistakes complexity for depth. They engage with the complex thing because engaging with complex things is what they do. They try to understand it fully before making a judgment. And in that time, they're already inside it. Cults don't recruit stupid people exclusively. They recruit smart people specifically because smart people can construct elaborate justifications for things that should have sent them running in the first 5 minutes. Reason 4, they hate being wrong. More than almost anything, admitting you were fooled feels like losing your identity. For many highly intelligent people, being deceived is not just unpleasant, it's identity threatening. It contradicts the core self-concept. I am someone who figures things out. I am not someone who gets fooled. This creates a specific and devastating dynamic. Once they've invested in a person or situation, once they've built a case for why it's legitimate, they become extraordinarily resistant to evidence that contradicts that case, because accepting the evidence means accepting that they were wrong, that they were fooled, that their intelligence failed them. Sunk cost fallacy affects everyone, but it hits intelligent people harder because the cost isn't just time or money, it's their self-image, and the manipulator knows they just need to get the investment high enough. After that, the intelligent person will do the work of keeping themselves in the situation, all on their own. Reason 5, they extend more charitable interpretations. Seeing the best in an argument is a virtue until someone weaponizes it. Intelligent people, almost universally, have been trained to Steelman opposing views, to find the strongest possible version of an argument before critiquing it, to extend charitable interpretation, to assume the most generous reading of what someone meant before judging them. In academic and philosophical contexts, this is essential. It produces better thinking, better outcomes, more honest discourse. In a manipulation context, it is exploited ruthlessly, because the manipulator knows that the intelligent person will automatically find the charitable interpretation of their behavior, will construct the most generous possible reading of the red flag, will bend over backwards to give them the benefit of the doubt, because that's what thoughtful people do, and they keep doing it. Long past the point where less charitable, but far more accurate interpretations were obviously correct. Bernie Madoff didn't fool unsophisticated investors. He fooled banks. He fooled hedge funds. He fooled Nobel laureates and financial regulators, people whose entire professional identity was built around understanding money and risk. His scheme worked for decades specifically because the people he targeted were too confident in their ability to spot a fraud to believe they were looking at one. Elizabeth Holmes built Theranos, a company claiming to revolutionize blood testing, and attracted investment from some of the most accomplished people in Silicon Valley and Washington. Former secretaries of state, decorated generals, brilliant venture capitalists, people with every intellectual resource available to them, and yet the fraud went undetected for years because the idea was complex enough and the narrative compelling enough that the intelligent people around her engaged with the complexity rather than questioning the foundation. NXIVM, a self-improvement organization that turned into a cult, specifically recruited high-achieving, educated, successful women, not despite their intelligence. Because of it, the philosophical framework was elaborate enough that intelligent people found it worth engaging with, and by the time they saw the full picture, they were already in. In every case, the manipulator didn't succeed despite the intelligence of their targets. They succeeded because of it. The defense is not to become less intelligent. It's to direct your intelligence differently. The first shift: trust discomfort as data. Intelligent people are trained to dismiss feelings in favor of analysis, but your body processes threat signals faster than your conscious mind does. When something feels wrong, even when you can't articulate why that feeling deserves a seat at the table, not the final vote, but a seat. The second shift: apply your skepticism to the things you want to believe. It's easy to be skeptical of things you already distrust. The harder and more important skill is being equally skeptical of things that feel exciting, validating, or intellectually satisfying. The best manipulation feels like a revelation. Ask yourself, why does this feel so right? What would I need to see to be wrong about this? The third shift: make the simple test. Before you construct a complex explanation for someone's behavior, ask the simplest version of the question. If a stranger did this, what would I think? Strip away the history and the investment and the complexity, and look at just the behavior. And the fourth, allow yourself to be wrong. The intelligent person who can say, "I misjudged this," without it threatening their identity, is dramatically harder to keep in a manipulation, because sunk cost only works on people who can't afford to admit they've already lost something. The most useful thing you can take from this video is not suspicion. It's a specific recalibration of how you use your intelligence. Here is a practice called the instinct audit. For the next 2 weeks, every time you construct a complex explanation for someone's behavior, particularly someone whose behavior has bothered or confused you, write down the simplest possible version of what happened alongside your complex explanation. Then ask yourself, if these 2 explanations were presented by a stranger about someone I didn't know, which would I find more credible? This is not cynicism. It is applying your analytical capability to your own reasoning, which is the one place most intelligent people consistently fail to apply it. Second practice. When something feels intellectually exciting, slow down. The most dangerous manipulations for an intelligent person are the ones that feel like discoveries. If a person, a situation, or an idea makes you feel like you found something rare and true, that feeling itself is worth examining. Real discoveries rarely require you to abandon your existing relationships, values, or boundaries to access them. And finally, being wrong is not a failure of intelligence. It is evidence that you are paying attention to reality. The intelligent person who can update their beliefs when the evidence changes is dramatically harder to keep deceived than the one who cannot. Your intelligence is still the most useful thing about you. This is just the upgrade it needed. Your intelligence is not the problem. The problem is intelligence applied without humility, analysis without instinct, complexity embraced without asking whether the complexity is real or manufactured. The most sophisticated thinkers throughout history have been fooled, not because they weren't smart enough, because they trusted their smartness more than they trusted their discomfort. Intelligence is a tool. Like any tool, it can be turned against the person holding it if they're not careful about who's standing close enough to grab it. You know that now. Use it differently. If this made you think differently about how you think, subscribe and share this with the smartest person you know.